Hi, welcome to PD in Pieces. My name is Katie from literacylearn.com. I'm a structured literacy dyslexia specialist, and I like to share with you things that I've learned along my science of reading journey in these PD in Pieces. So today we're going to be talking about using a spelling inventory. We're going to start with what is a spelling inventory? Maybe you've not heard of this before. A spelling inventory is a task given to students to assess their current spelling and encoding skill. And what happens is the teacher dictates words beginning with simple words, then moves on to more complex words. And as the teacher dictates one by one, the students spell the words. The inventory is then used to analyze the student's understanding of language, and it pinpoints exactly what a student knows and what a student doesn't know. And what's important about a spelling inventory is that it provides an assessment. An assessment of children's spelling errors can really reveal a lot about a student's understanding and knowledge of the certain systems that students have in place. So phonological, orthographical, morphological, and semantical. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides. So how do we administer a spelling inventory? Just so you know, it can be given whole group, small group, or individually. First, you want to collect your materials. The good news is we're giving you all the materials you will need. Second, you want to decide how to plan and administer the spelling inventory. So if you have students maybe with attention issues or special education needs, you might want to consider giving it separately in small groups or individually, just so you get an accurate picture of what your students know. Make sure that you tell your students this is not a graded assessment. It is important, but it is not going to be graded. So that kind of takes the pressure off of them. And then, as I mentioned on the last slide, the teacher is going to read a word. You're going to use it in a sentence, and then you're going to repeat the word. And what is the student going to do? The student is going to spell the word. It's as simple as that. You continue these steps, repeating until the entire inventory has been given and the students have spelled all of the words. Now comes the most important part of a spelling inventory, and that is in the analysis. This is where the power of this tool or task really lies. So we're going to talk about how you analyze a spelling inventory. You're going to collect the student's work, and you're going to go through each one and circle or highlight the student's errors. Using the teacher analysis sheet, you're going to analyze the data in each category, and then you're going to use that data to identify trends. So, for example, if you see a student has missed 3 out of 6 words where there's consonant blends, well, guess what? You get to number 4, let it inform your instruction and intervention. You're going to pull those kids and really provide explicit instruction, reteaching, and many opportunities for repeated practice based on the data that this spelling inventory gives you. And the best part about it is it allows you to quickly create skill-based groups. And these skill-based groups are going to have explicit intervention based on the deficits that are clear from these spelling inventories. So now I'm inviting you to analyze some spelling errors with me. Okay. And this, again, when we look at this, we need to look at what systems the students have in place. Are these phonological errors, orthographical errors, morphological errors, or semantical errors? So let's say for the first example, you said the word drip and your student wrote it J-R-I-P. What does that tell you? Okay, this is a phonologically based error. The child has spelled the blend with the letters JR, and in English, we don't have a blend JR. Okay, so it would tell you exactly what you need to do. You need to reteach that when we hear dr, it's actually the consonants D and R. Those sounds blended really fast together. And so when we hear that dr in words, we have to spell it DR. You'd provide explicit instruction and lots of practice. Let's look at another error. Let's say you wanted the students to spell the word gist, and they spelled it Jits. What kind of error is this? Okay, this is another phonologically based error. The child has incorrectly sequenced the sounds in the word. So you would want to provide your students here with clear spelling procedure in order to isolate those sounds and then represent each of those sounds using the corresponding grapheme in the correct order. Let's look at another example. Let's say you said the word hurt and your student spelled it Hirt. Okay, this is actually an orthographical pattern error, right? The child has actually produced a phonologically acceptable spelling of the word if they've spelled it HIRT, but it's actually not the correct spelling. So, unfortunately, there's no rules for using UR versus IR or ER. So the child just needs to have enough familiarity with the printed words to know that hurt is spelled with a UR instead of an IR. So, again, providing kids with lots of repeated practice. Now, let's look at this word. If I said the word hiding and the student spelled it HIDEING, okay, this is actually another error related to a spelling generalization, that when we add the suffix ing to a silent E base word, then the silent E should be dropped before adding the vowel suffix. So this would tell you, I need to go back and review my suffix spelling patterns. Now let's say we ask students to spell the word jumped, and they spelled it JUMPT. This is a morphological error, right? Although the word sounds like it ends with a t, the child has to recognize that ed is always used to spell past tense. And so even though they hear the t, they have to spell it ed. And we'll look at one more. Let's say I told the students to spell the word two, such as there are two dogs, and the child spelled it TOO. What kind of spelling error is this? Okay, this is a semantically based error where there's confusion between spelling two like a number and two meaning also. So here you would provide instruction on specific homophones so that the students can learn the difference between the meanings of words that sound alike and learn how to spell those correctly. So thanks for taking the time to analyze those spelling errors with me. I want to leave you with just a few concluding remarks. First, get our free inventory. We want you to use a spelling inventory now that you know what it is, how to administer it, and how to analyze it. We want to make it easy for you. So we have all the materials ready so that you can just download them and use them with your students today if you want. Ours is designed for kindergarten through fourth grade and include most concepts that are taught during those years, but certainly, you can use this with older struggling students. And if you're working with younger students, you can determine where to stop giving the assessment based on the needs of your class. Spelling inventories, typically it's suggested that you give them 3 times per year so that you can monitor progress and adjust your instruction. I hope that you feel encouraged and excited about using this simple task. It's super easy to implement, it's customizable, and best of all, it's going to give you really valuable information about your students' current understanding and where your instruction needs to go. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you back soon.